Are you guys ready to fight some dragons? Now, dragons, I know you're like, we just fought fire and now we're gonna go fight some more fire? That seems insane. But these dragons have something totally different. And you might ask yourself, well, why are fairy Pokemon the strongest thing against dragons when dragons, like I said before, were the most overpowered OP Pokemon around? Especially when you had like Dragonite was one of the strongest Pokemon. And that's because these dragons aren't about the fire-breathing dragons that we think of. Especially we have, European, and then we have Western dragons, and there's lots of different subtypes of dragons. But we think of dragons not just for fire breath and wings, but for their affinity, for their relationship to magic. Now, there's a lot of different types of magic, and the two main are the more wild type and earthly magic, and the more raw, wizardy magic. And so if you think about Western dragons, the one in King Arthur's Tales and the ones we typically think about with 4 legs and wings that breathe fire, that fight knights, those are the arcane magic. So those are the wizard type magic, the ones that you can do spells and then cast magic and chaos and that kind of magic. Versus fairies are thought to be more of the holistic or wild magic, one with the earth. And so when you have chaos and you have earth trumps that chaos. So that is why you have your Togepi, your Togekiss, and you are ready to compete and to fight off these dragons. But I'm not just going to leave you empty-handed. I want to give you some knowledge to bring into this fight so that you know what dragons are and what to expect. Okay, give me a second to turn off the lights so it's a little easier to see, and then we're going to get to Minute Earth, which is a great YouTube channel that is going to tell you some information, okay? Give me 1 sec, guys. All right. So, what is the best dragon type according to science?
Hi, this is Julian from Minute Earth. Dragons don't exist, but if they did, which would be pretty cool, they need to conform to Earth's biological and physical rules. So we figured we'd make a fun video about which of these famous fantasy dragons would have the best shot at being more than just fantasy. To rank these dragons' believability, we'll start with the most egregiously unnatural characteristic of dragons, and move up from there. Look, obviously dragons breathe fire, but we looked into it and the only thing that even comes close to that in nature is the bombardier beetle, which fires boiling hot liquid from its butt to burn its enemies. Not exactly fire breathing. So let's just move on to the issue of limbs. Most Western depictions of dragons, like on the Welsh flag, have 4 legs and 2 wings for a total of 6 limbs. But all bony creatures on land or in the air evolved from a 4-limbed fish whose body is a blueprint for every other bony creature, including a hypothetical dragon, clearly a bony creature. This would make it very unlikely for a 6-limbed dragon to have evolved on Earth. That's why some fantasy writers, filmmakers, and game designers have used real bats, birds, and pterosaurs as models for their 4-limbed dragons. So we're placing all these 6-limbed dragons in the bottom tier, including the Smaug from the theatrical release of the first Hobbit film. The Smaug from the second film, however, gets to move on, since the filmmakers removed his front legs, not because they particularly cared about Earth's evolutionary history, but because they thought it would make for a more expressive performance. A wingless 4-legged dragon would be accurate too, but without magical flight like in Eastern depictions of dragons, that's basically just a lizard. So let's talk about wings. Animals need them in order to fly, which means they need big chest muscles to flap their wings, which means they need a tall ridge on their specially modified sternums called a keel for the muscles to attach to. A dragon without a keel couldn't have the muscles needed to power fast enough flight to keep its massive body in the air. That means it's the end of the line for these smooth-chested beauties. But a keel alone is not enough to fly. Any creature that wants to fly also needs the right combination of weight, wing size, and flight speed. The more a creature weighs, the bigger its wings need to be, or the faster it needs to fly to generate the necessary lift to keep it afloat. For example, penguins, which do have a keel, could in principle fly despite their comically small wings, but they would have to go nearly as fast as a commercial airliner and deal with ludicrous forces on their wings. The Quetzalcoatlus pterosaur, thought to be the largest flying animal to have ever existed, had a 12-meter wingspan, which kept its 250 kilograms aloft at a reasonable 80 km/h speed. Naturally, we painstakingly calculated the weights and wing sizes of all our remaining dragon contenders and found they all had wings too small for their weight, meaning they'd need to fly at ridiculously fast speeds in order to sustain flight, and the forces involved would destroy any flesh and bone-based wings. Wait, so nobody wins? Well, among our remaining candidates, the most realistic has to be the one with the biggest wings in relation to their weight. And the winner is the Hungarian Horntail from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It has 4 limbs, a keel to hold its muscles, and the biggest wings in relation to its weight. Now, whether or not you could ride it, we could get into that, but we don't want this video to drag on.
Did I?
Alrighty guys, so hopefully you are nice and prepared. You've got some knowledge. So remember, these are too big to fly, so knock them out of the sky, and that's when you're gonna go for the attack. Now, what I have for you guys, let me turn it back on, is I know that before you go into a battle, you need to make sure that you're gonna go into Pokemon camp. You're gonna make up some curry, and I've got this special ingredient, which is some dragon skin. Don't worry, they shed it off naturally. So I want you to go ahead and get this, and this is gonna get an extra buff to help your fairy type Pokemon with their battle. You guys ready? See you guys in a bit.